Max went on Bill's podcast, and he called himself Muhammad Kellerman. And he intimated that the reason why Stephen A. Smith didn't like doing First Take with him is because Max used to roll Stephen A. Smith up, stuff him in the trash.
He basically said it.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said, who wants to go 15 rounds with Muhammad Kellerman?
He said it.
Like, this mother here going crazy.
On Higher Learning, one of my favorite shows, they would discuss.
So Stephen A. you're in a relationship with where you're doing a show together for how many years? 4?
5.
5 years.
If you're doing a debate show and you're a competitive person,
yeah,
why would you want me as a partner? That's bad. You want to go 15 rounds every day with Muhammad Kellerman?
Max Kellerman finally responding to former co-host Stephen A. Smith.
Did I hear correctly? Did we show what he called himself Muhammad Kellerman, as in Muhammad Ali Kellerman? Muhammad Ali Kellerman. Oh, my God. Oh. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I had my researchers check and make sure that wasn't AI. That wasn't some shit that somebody just made up. You know, I had to double check that shit. I really, really did. I couldn't believe it, okay? If we were talking about boxing, you're absolutely right, because I don't know anybody that knows more boxing than Max Kellerman. He's extraordinary, no doubt about that. We're talking about First Take, though. And he took it someplace that all I want to say is, are you really sure you want to go there? See, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Are you sure you want to go there? Because I'm not unless you take me there.
And Smith's rather weak response.
I have a very positive experience with Stephen A. Smith.
A lot of people do.
A very positive. Like, I actually don't have one bad thing to say about him, except for I don't agree with, his political takes, which I've expressed on this podcast. I have sat at the table between Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith on First Take. I will say that when I was there, I thought it was the first time I learned, this is how you can tell people aren't as close during the commercial break, because they're on, like, we'll be on our phones, but we still talk.
Yeah.
Like they're just like no communication until really the camera came on. If I was going to assume, it does seem like Stephen A. Smith is the show, the star, and he does not want anybody to be on his level when it comes to it. It's his show.
Rachel Lindsay, who worked at ESPN, gave her insights, which ring true.
Whatever you feel about who you're working with and what the situation is, to me, a cardinal sin is betraying that on the air. You should always be thinking about making the show entertaining.
Right.
And I do think it reached the point on that show where it was like, come on, dude. We the first priority is to make good TV. Stephen A. was the one partner I've ever had over like years.
Yeah.
Where I didn't feel like a relationship was really forming. With
exactly what Max Kellerman told Bill Simmons on The Ringer.
It seems like Stephen A. is the ultimate company man, meaning like at every place that you work, there is somebody that like you think that you can talk to. There is somebody who the reason why they do that is intel gathering.
Maybe.
I'm not saying that this is him, but I'm saying just so everybody out there knows, there's somebody that will help you and will help you get ahead and speak for you and all of that stuff. But the reason why they do it is partly for you, but partly to build their tribe where they are, and also to know what bothers you. Then there's another group of people that think that he does that for his own benefit and to his own ends.
And I can only speak to because I have an actual personal experience, I can only speak to that. But I will say that it did get to a point where he didn't want him on the show.
And he even admitted to all of that to Hot 97. They would then touch on, for example, this.
Black folks lament all the time. We totally support protests. We are protesters. We got a lot to protest about. But when you riot, particularly in your own community, in the past I'm talking about, why is that something that we've lamented? Because when the fire stops burning and the damage has been done and you've done it in your own community, where do you go from there?
It's better not to riot.
I'm not pro-riot, okay? Let me be very clear about that off the top.
I'm not saying that. I just brought that up.
Rioting in their own communities, black people don't own those communities. They don't own those communities. And this culture has been rioting against black people for hundreds of years now.
That wasn't my point. You had an opportunity to show up for a workout. And oh, by the way, you showed up in a Kunta Kinte shirt. That's what you did for owners that you want to play for. Now, whether you like it or not, the bottom line is they're owners in the league with the ability to employ you. When you want a job, these are not things that you do.
Like, who cares if he's wearing a Kunta Kinte t-shirt? Like, is our original sin in this country slavery, yes or no? Is that the reason that 31 of the 32 owners are white, yes or no? Because of the power structure, yes or no? Yes, of course it is. That's the very thing that's related to the reason Kaepernick was protesting in the first place. So what if he shows up with a Kunta Kinte t-shirt?
Ladies and gentlemen, in my hand, I have two notes, two letters. This one here, examination, waiver, release, and indemnification agreement. This was signed by Colin Kaepernick in 2011. His signature's right there. This is the agreement supposedly sent to him and his team. And essentially what it's doing is protecting the NFL from injury.
That's the NFL's understanding. My understanding is it was not a standard waiver. That's Kaepernick's people's understanding. And by the way, if one of the points is that the NFL is indemnified not just from injury, but from other things, which would mean Kaepernick could not sue them or a suit could not be brought against them going forward for the way he has perhaps had his rights trampled or in some way not respected by the NFL since the settlement, then this whole dog and pony show, if that's what it was to smuggle that in under the radar.
Only speaking about recreational use of marijuana. I think it's abhorrent. I think it's ridiculous, and I don't support it at all in terms of the NBA legalizing it. I don't believe that a paying customer should take money out of their hard-earned money out of their pockets to patronize an NBA product, to walk to a game and see some dudes walking up courtside high. I don't believe that.
This is not about showing up to the game high. No one is saying the players should be high when they play. Because there are examples of players who've shown up high, that's a reason to outlaw recreational use on someone's own time. It's absurd on its face.
Social issues and the power structures that be within the United States of America.
Man, he used to make Max look like Malcolm X on that, bro. I'm not playing, man. It would be like, it wouldn't just be on issues directly of race. It would be on issues that were in any way social or cultural. And that was because there was a generational divide. They're not that much apart in age, maybe 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years or something. But like Stephen A would come out and say something like, women need to make sure that they dress right. And Max would be like, you wear whatever you want. And that's not, they didn't actually say that, but he used to make Stephen A.
Yes,
Max
he's more conservative.
He used to make Max look like a black leader on this.
Goes without saying, I've stated it many times on the show, please go support Van and Rachel at Higher Learning. Their show is fantastic. Pertaining to the Max Stephen A. beef, I've already said this. I will say it one more time. Max was muzzled because he was let go by ESPN and he could not work for quite a long time. Yet while he was sidelined, you know who kept talking about this over and over again? His former co-host, Stephen A. Smith. I believe that there is a professionalism that is quite a disparity between the two. You see Stephen A. kicking a man while he is down, saying he didn't want him on the show anymore, saying he didn't like working with him, and then trying to cover it up by saying, but I have the utmost respect for him. Kind of felt a little meh. Max, being on the sidelines, finally is released, and he is able to say something. And he does it in probably the most disciplined way that Stephen A. could not. He said respectfully that he thought he was a great debater. He said, why would anybody want to go up against me? It's like going up against Muhammad Kellerman or Bud Crawford, which was hilarious. And he kept it rather clean if you watch and listen to that episode on Bill Simmons. Whereas Stephen A. from Hot 97 to Joe Budden to The Pivot and many others, He didn't. He kicked a man while he was down. So I appreciate Van and Rachel weighing in on this, specifically Rachel, because she was in those meetings. She was on that set. And speaking of the meetings, she even said at one point that Stephen A. and Max did not meet in the same room for those production meetings, which I also found to be pretty fascinating because it felt almost standard for both hosts to be in the same room prior to going on air just to, go over what topics they were going to hit, et cetera, et cetera. And she did say that maybe that could have changed after she left or before she was there. Regardless, I think this is probably the end of Max talking about this. If he gets asked it again on another podcast, I believe he'll be shorter because he already told y'all how he felt, and it doesn't really seem like his sort of thing. Whereas Stephen A. is going to try and get views out of this. And he's probably going to talk about it again at some point on his show. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.